So your water heater has been sitting there doing its job quietly for the last year or two, and you're starting to wonder if there's something you should be doing to keep it running right. There is. And if you've been putting it off, today's the day we fix that. I'm going to walk you through the complete process of flushing your water heater from start to finish, shutting off the heat source, draining the tank, agitating all that built-up sediment at the bottom, and refilling it properly so you're not trapping air in your lines. And if you stick around to the end, I'll share a bonus tip that most people skip entirely, one that can add years to the life of your tank and save you from a middle-of-the-night emergency replacement. Let's get into it. Flushing your water heater once a year is one of the simplest maintenance jobs you can do, and it's also one of the most overlooked. The payoff is real. A cleaner tank runs more efficiently, heats water faster, and lasts significantly longer. Once you've done this the first time, it takes maybe 45 minutes, and you'll wonder why you ever put it off. All right, let's start at the very beginning. The first thing you need to do before you touch anything else on this water heater is shut off the heat source. This is non-negotiable, and here's exactly why it matters. When you drain the tank, the water level drops. If your heat source is still active, whether that's a gas burner or an electric heating element, it can fire up trying to heat an empty tank. On a gas unit, that means the burner is running with no water to absorb the heat. On an electric unit, the heating elements are exposed and energized with nothing around them. Either way, you are looking at serious damage to your tank, and in a worst case, a complete failure. So we shut off the heat first, every single time, no exceptions. For a gas water heater, the fix is simple. Find your thermostat dial on the front of the unit. It's usually near the bottom, and turn it all the way down to the pilot or vacation setting. You're not shutting off the pilot light, you're just telling the burner not to fire. That's all you need to do. For an electric water heater, head to your breaker panel and flip the breaker that controls the unit. If you're not sure which one it is, look for a dedicated double pole breaker labeled something like water heater or HWHTR. Flip it off. If your unit is plugged into the wall rather than hardwired, just unplug it. Do this step first. Do not move on until the heat is off. With the heat source disabled, the next step is to shut off the cold water supply to the tank. Every water heater has a dedicated cold water inlet valve. It's the line coming into the top of the tank on the right side, and it should have either a ball valve or a gate valve on it. If it's a ball valve, you're looking for a lever handle. Turn it a quarter turn so the handle sits perpendicular to the pipe. That's closed. If it's a gate valve, it's a round wheel handle. Turn it clockwise until it stops. Either way, the goal is the same. No new water entering the tank while you're draining it. One thing worth checking here. If your shutoff valve hasn't been touched in years, turn it slowly. Old gate valves especially can be stiff, and forcing them can cause problems. If it won't budge at all, you may need to shut off the main water supply to the house instead and work from there. Now let's get the drain hose connected. At the very bottom of your water heater, you'll find a drain spigot. It looks like an outdoor hose bib. Same thread, same size. Grab a standard garden hose, thread it onto that spigot hand tight, and run the other end somewhere the hot water can drain safely. A floor drain works great. Outside onto a driveway or into the street is fine too. A few things to keep in mind here. The water coming out of this tank is hot, potentially very hot, especially if the tank has been running recently. We're talking about water that could be sitting at 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep kids, pets, and anyone else clear of the drain area. Don't run it onto your lawn or garden. It'll damage plants and grass. And don't underestimate how long this takes. A standard 40 or 50-gallon tank can take 15 to 20 minutes to drain completely, depending on the flow rate. Before you open that drain valve, there's one more thing you need to handle, and this is a step a lot of people miss. If you just open the drain valve right now with the cold supply shut off, the water won't flow, or it'll barely trickle out. The reason for this is the same reason water won't pour out of a straw when you've got your finger over the top of it. There's no air getting in to replace the water as it drains out. The tank creates a vacuum, and the water just sits there. The fix is easy. Go to any faucet in the house, turn on the hot side only, and leave it open. That open faucet breaks the vacuum by allowing air to travel back through the hot water lines into the top of the tank as the water drains out the bottom. You'll hear it working, a kind of low gurgling sound as air moves through the system. That's exactly what you want. Now head back to the tank and open the drain valve. Depending on your model, it may be a quarter-turn ball valve or a standard hose bib style that you turn counterclockwise several times to open. Either way, open it fully and let it drain. If you open the valve and still hear nothing, no flow, no air movement, nothing, there may be a backflow preventer installed somewhere in your plumbing. Backflow preventers are great for water quality, but they do block that air from traveling back through the line the way you need it to here. If that's your situation, don't fight it. Instead, use the pressure relief valve on the side of the tank to let air in. The pressure relief valve, sometimes called the T&P valve, short for temperature and pressure, is a critical safety device. It's there to release steam and water if the pressure inside the tank ever builds to a dangerous level. You should treat it with respect and not mess with it unnecessarily. But for our purposes here, you can carefully lift the lever arm on the valve to open it just enough to let air into the tank. When you do, you'll hear a rush of air and the water will immediately start flowing out the drain hose. Once it's flowing well, you can gently release the lever. Just make sure it seats back down completely when you're done. Give it a gentle push down and confirm it's fully closed. Hey, real quick, if this kind of content is useful to you, go ahead and hit subscribe so you catch the next one. We cover practical DIY plumbing stuff just like this every week. All right, back to it. So the tank is draining. Now here's where most people stop. And it's also where most people leave the job half done. Just draining the tank is not enough on its own. The sediment that builds up at the bottom of the tank over months and years, minerals like calcium and magnesium that precipitate out of your water supply, especially in hard water areas, that stuff doesn't just flow out on its own. It settles. It compacts. By the time you go to drain it, a lot of it is just sitting there, on the bottom of the tank, like a layer of fine sand, or, in bad cases, like a thin layer of concrete. A slow drain isn't going to move it. What you need to do is agitate it. Here's how. Once the tank has drained down and the flow from the hose has slowed to a trickle, go back up to your cold water supply valve and open it for about 15 to 20 seconds. That blast of cold water shoots down to the bottom of the tank and stirs up all that settled sediment. Then close the supply valve again, let the tank rest for another 15 to 20 seconds, and open the drain to let that stirred up water flush out. Watch what comes out of the hose. If you can grab a clean white bucket and catch some of it, you'll actually be able to see the sediment. Little brown or white flecks swirling around in the water. That's exactly what you're pulling out of your tank. Repeat that cycle. Open supply for 15 to 20 seconds, close, rest, drain, 3 to 4 times until the water running out of the hose starts coming out noticeably cleaner. You're looking for water that's mostly clear with very little particulate floating around. It won't be perfectly crystal clear every time, especially if the tank hasn't been flushed in a few years. But you'll see it improving with each cycle. This agitation process is what separates a real flush from just opening a valve and calling it done. Take the extra 10 minutes and do it right. Once you're satisfied with how clean the water's running, there's one more thing I like to do before closing everything up. I fill the tank completely back up with cold water, full tank, and then drain it one more time from scratch. Here's the thinking. All that agitation we just did loosened up a lot of sediment, but some of it is still clinging to the walls and bottom of the tank. Filling it all the way up one more time creates enough water pressure and volume inside the tank to lift that remaining sediment off the surfaces and get it suspended in the water. Then when you drain it again, it all comes out with the flow. To do this, open your cold supply valve fully and let the tank fill back up completely. While it's filling, close the drain valve and remove the garden hose. You'll know the tank is getting close to full when you hear the sound of the water change. Instead of splashing down to the bottom of an empty tank, it'll sound more like water filling a full vessel, quieter and more hollow. Once it sounds full, go ahead and open the drain valve back up and let it empty again completely. Same rules apply. Be patient. Let it drain all the way. All right, the tank is empty for the last time. Now we close everything back up and refill it for good. First, close the drain valve. Turn it clockwise until it's snug. Don't crank it down hard. These valves are usually plastic or brass, and the threads are easy to damage if you over-tighten them. Hand tight plus a quarter turn is plenty. With the drain valve closed, open your cold water supply valve fully to start refilling the tank. Now here's where you need to pay attention, because there's a step here that catches people off guard. As the tank fills back up, all the air that was inside it needs somewhere to go. If you just button everything up and let it fill, that trapped air gets pushed into your hot water lines and you end up with sputtering, spitting faucets all over the house for the next hour. Annoying and completely avoidable. The way you handle this is simple. Leave the pressure relief valve open just slightly. Lift the lever arm just enough to crack it while the tank fills. The air inside the tank will push out through that valve as the water rises. You'll hear it at first, a steady hiss of air escaping. As the tank gets closer to full, that sound will change. The hissing will slow down, and you may start to hear or see a little water working its way up to the valve. When that happens, close the relief valve gently and make sure it seats fully. You do not want to leave that valve cracked and walk away. If the water level reaches it while it's open, water will come right out and run down onto the floor. If you're not comfortable using the relief valve this way, the alternative is to go back to that open faucet you turned on earlier in the hot side of any sink in the house. Leave it open the whole time the tank is filling. The air will bleed out through the faucet instead. You'll hear it sputtering and spitting as the air clears. Once a steady, smooth stream of water is flowing from that faucet, with no air in it, the tank is full and the lines are clear. Shut the faucet off. Either method works. Use whichever one you're more comfortable with. The goal is just to get the air out of the system before you fire the heat back up. With the tank full and the air bled out, now you can restore your heat source. For gas, go back to the thermostat dial and turn it up to your normal setting. Most households run somewhere between 120 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. 120 is generally recommended as a good balance between comfort, efficiency, and safety. The burner will kick on and you'll hear it ignite. For electric, go back to the breaker panel and flip the water heater breaker back on. Give the tank time to heat back up before you expect hot water. Depending on your tank size and your starting water temperature, that could be anywhere from 30 minutes to a full hour. And that's it. You're done. Let's go over a few issues you might run into so you're not caught off guard. First, if you open the drain valve and nothing comes out, even after opening a faucet and trying the relief valve, the culprit is usually a clogged drain valve. Sediment buildup can actually plug the valve opening, especially on tanks that haven't been flushed in several years. Try inserting a small flathead screwdriver or a piece of wire into the opening to break up the clog and get things flowing. If the valve is completely seized, you may need to replace it. It threads right in, and a new one costs just a few dollars at any hardware store. Second, if your drain valve drips or leaks after you close it back up, don't panic. These valves sit unused for long stretches, and the rubber washer inside can harden or degrade over time. Sometimes a slow drip will self-seal as the washer swells slightly with water contact. Give it 10 or 15 minutes and check again. If it's still leaking, replacement is the right call. Same deal as above. Inexpensive, threads right in, 15-minute fix. Third, if you notice the water coming out during your flush is very dark or rust-colored, that's telling you the tank has gone a long time without being flushed and there's significant corrosion happening inside. Keep flushing until it runs clear, but also pay attention to the age of your tank. Most water heaters last 8 to 12 years. If yours is getting up there in age and you're seeing heavy rust in the flush water, start budgeting for a replacement, rather than counting on many more years of service. Fourth, if your pressure relief valve doesn't reseat properly after you use it, meaning it keeps dripping or trickling even after you've pushed the lever back down, do not ignore that. A relief valve that won't seat is a valve that needs to be replaced. This is not an expensive repair, but it is an important one. Call a plumber or replace it yourself if you're comfortable with it, but don't leave a faulty relief valve in place. Now here's the bonus tip I mentioned at the top. Once a year is the standard advice for flushing a water heater, and that's a solid baseline. But here's what most people don't know. If you live in an area with hard water, meaning water with high mineral content, once a year may not be enough. Hard water deposits sediment significantly faster than soft water does. If you're in a hard water area and you're flushing once a year, you might still be fighting a losing battle with buildup. The fix is a whole house water softener, but those are a bigger investment. The more practical move for most people is to install a sediment filter on the cold water inlet line feeding your water heater. These are simple inline filters. A basic one runs $20 to $40, and they catch a large percentage of the mineral sediment before it ever gets into your tank. You install it right on the supply line coming into the top of the heater, change the filter cartridge once or twice a year, and your tank stays dramatically cleaner between flushes. I've seen tanks that were flushed annually without a filter and tanks that had a sediment filter installed. The difference in what comes out during the flush is significant. It's a small investment that genuinely extends the life of the tank. That's the full breakdown on how to flush your water heater and do it right. If this helped you out, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Got questions? Or did you find something unexpected when you flushed yours? Drop it in the comments. I read all of them. Thanks for watching.